The McDonald's brand has gone through many changes, and has gone so far that it bears more of a resemblance to Starbucks than the McDonald's of old. And in mid-2023, McDonald's unveiled its new sister restaurant called Cosmc, apparently the eye is invisible, in order to directly compete with the likes of Starbucks, offering a menu more focused on drinks, with food items more in line with that of a coffee chain. And yes, one of the items obviously includes avocado. Even before this, however, McDonald's has been chasing after the Starbucks crowd for decades, as seen in the radical shift in its branding, architecture, new food choices, advertising, and reward scheme. This new sub-brand is the most clear example that McDonald's wants a piece of the coffee chain pie. But what's even more confusing is McDonald's already has its own coffee chain. McCafe was first introduced in 1993, with locations opening in Melbourne but within the existing McDonald's locations. Melbourne is well known for its cafe and coffee culture, due to an influx of Italian and Greek immigrants after World War II, so this new coffee brand was aiming to tap into the same market. McCafe seemed to tick all the boxes for a typical cafe brand, feeling cleaner and more mature next to the McDonald's brand of the 1990s. Especially if you look back at the early 2000s with the documentary Supersize Me by Morgan Spurlock. Despite this documentary being over-exaggerated, clearly made with an agenda, and Spurlock being an alcoholic at the time, there's no denying the impact this had on the McDonald's image, food and brand.
I could murder a Big Mac.
This was a very different era, because apparently we needed a feature-length documentary where a man eats 5,000 calories a day for a month to tell us that burgers and fries are unhealthy. It also served as a time capsule for the McDonald's brand. Compared to today, everything appears way more kid-friendly. This was an era when Ronald McDonald and McDonaldland were an integral part of the brand. In Supersize Me, the documentary highlights how fast food companies aim to lure in children, not just with Happy Meal and the toys, but with their mascots and the Play Place locations, which are these massive playgrounds right next to the fast food restaurants. Morgan Spurlock would later appear in a YouTube video for Entertainment Tonight, where he dines at McDonald's in 2019 for the first time in 15 years. The video points out how the packaging has a more artisan feel, likely being made from recycled materials. Even if the food is the exact same, this is hoping to give the appearance of having more high quality food.
This looks very different. This tastes just as bad. I'm having like McPTSD.
After Supersize Me and scandals involving the pink slime, which was allegedly used in their chicken nuggets, McDonald's desperately wants you to think their food isn't junk food. They've since made an effort to highlight how their food is made, even if the ingredients list is full of things that are impossible to pronounce.
Hydrogenated sodium acid pyrophosphate, water, and I've heard of that, soy, lecithin, I don't know which one it is.
Starbucks customers are known to be older, pretty well off, and more importantly, health conscious. Not only has the McDonald's brand gradually stripped back all the bright colours and pushed poor Ronnie to the sidelines to feel more mature, they've tried out healthier food options like sodium-filled wraps, fruit and low-fat products being added to Happy Meals, and they've jumped on the vegan burger bandwagon too. Many coffee chains also want you to think that their food isn't mass-produced in a factory, employing tactics to give the impression that their food is homemade, such as presenting their food in glass cases as if their rolls and cakes have been freshly baked. Outside of the US, there are even McCafes that do the same thing, as seen in this image of a McCafe in Italy. But these are not artisanal products taken right out of the oven. In Starbucks, Costa, Caffè Nero and many other chains, the food is likely frozen. In the past, old fast food restaurants were very rarely a nice place to be. The whole point of fast food, as the name implies, was to get you in and out of the restaurant as fast as possible. There have been plenty of videos criticising modern fast food locations, which aim to feel more upmarket, with influences taken from modern architecture. There was a huge redesign effort by McDonald's made in 2006 to put forward a more mature brand. A newly built McDonald's likely won't feature the Pizza Hut-shaped roofs and yellow fries many remember fondly from their childhood. The original designs and Play Place locations feel like a very different era now, a clear indication that McDonald's was moving away from targeting children. Ever since this overhaul, most new locations are just plain bland. There's a few spots of colour, but a hell of a lot more beige and brown. The more muted colour palette likely won't catch your eye compared to the garish red roofs of the old buildings. Not to mention, a number of fast food chains are adopting the same look, and if you took the logos off most of these buildings, you probably couldn't tell them apart. So this is an area where the Starbucks influence can be seen. The roofs may have lost their bright colour palette, but the distinctive shape on some locations has been kept, with the addition of some wood panels and dark green. And I wonder where they got the idea of dark green from. You'll see the bright colours in child-friendly areas at each location, but these designs feel more welcoming to adults than they do for children. Each McDonald's now has Wi-Fi, a staple of any coffee shop or chain like Starbucks, giving customers a reason to stick around after finishing their McFlurry, and this is something McDonald's actually encourages. They don't want to get you out the door as quickly as possible, they want you to stay, so they can sell your data to the highest bidder. The joke of buying one item and hogging a table for 4 hours doesn't just apply to Starbucks anymore, it basically applies to every fast food chain. Another staple of coffee chains, as well as the independent shops, is a loyalty scheme, whether it's stamping a card or scanning an app. McDonald's introduced a reward scheme back in 2021, so the more Big Macs you can eat, the more rewards you get, and the more McDonald's you'll get in return. So instead of buying your morning coffee in Starbucks, why not stop off at McDonald's and pick up a McMuffin to go with it in order to pick up more reward points? The Starbucks business strategy has a major focus on providing a good customer experience, which is integral to fostering loyalty. This goes hand in hand with the good loyalty scheme, but the best way to get customers to return is with a good customer experience. The introduction of click and collect and kiosks to place your order without having to speak to a pesky human are examples of this, helping to speed up the order process and making transactions hassle-free. Starbucks is by no means perfect, and they've had their fair share of major PR blunders over the years, but a good customer experience is just something you can't manufacture overnight. McDonald's may be the largest fast food chain in the world, having more locations than Starbucks, but Starbucks has been the fastest growing chain since the early 2000s. So along with the controversy over its unhealthy food with Supersize Me, McDonald's has put more effort into the likes of coffee and healthier food options. And it's actually worked, sort of. Following the 2008 recession, McDonald's overtook Starbucks and Costa to become the biggest coffee seller in the UK. So with all that being said, the new McDonald's venture signals a move into the same market as Starbucks, as this has a much greater focus on drinks rather than food. The menu includes the typical caffeinated beverages alongside green teas and sweet drinks that are much more colourful, likely designed to stand out on Instagram over the more brown offering of McCafe. Named after an alien mascot from the 1980s, the branding leans into the space theme with product images that appear to be floating in zero gravity, cosmic patterns, and a bright yellow and dark blue colour palette, alongside a retro-inspired wordmark reminiscent of logos from a 1950s diner. Despite McDonald's selling a ton of coffee in the past, the company has never properly committed to it until now, indicating this is McDonald's first major move into the drinks market in 30 years since launching McCafe. An issue faced by a standard McDonald's is they tend to miss out on the lunchtime customers, as food at cafes and coffee shops are better choices for lunchtime compared to that of a burger and fries. Cosmc is basically trying to eat Starbucks' lunch, as their food offering caters to a lunchtime better than that of a typical McDonald's meal. With the McDonald's brand going clean and sterile, this feels like the polar opposite and does a good job of feeling different. However, like the more mature brand of McDonald's, this also feels soulless. Similar to Burger King, they've latched on to popular trends, but in this case they haven't quite pulled it off. The more colourful branding has resulted in comparisons closer to that of Dunkin' Donuts and Sonic Drive-In, as it includes a similar concept, as well as more recent chains such as Swig, which also has a retro-inspired brand. But one issue with this current concept is the fact that it's a drive-in. Drive-ins are usually seen outside of cities and in suburban areas, plus they've already ruled out anybody that travels by public transport and doesn't drive a car. This is a very American concept that isn't popular outside of North America, so what happens if Cosmc goes global? Will it try to open drive-ins elsewhere, or will we see eat-in locations popping up in heavily built-up cities like New York, Paris and London? This is being billed as a competitor to Starbucks, but I'm not sure Starbucks customers will be swapping their pumpkin spice lattes and red Christmas cups for drinks with 108 grams of sugar in them anytime soon.